So, how do we build opportunities to respond in Google Forms in the right manner that doesn't stress us out by seeing too much data overload? I have a couple of tips for you. We're going to walk through number one, how to send out your form the correct way and make sure that students don't request access to edit. Number two, we are going to check out some of the options for question types, and that will help you sort. And number three, we are going to make sure that that response destination is a place that you can sort and filter and have some good quality responsiveness to your students. So let's take a look at that list of four that I just gave you. So right here, we are in our Google form. I have decided to put a grade level drop down as one of the options for filtering for later. I've also chosen some other options that students have to tell me a little bit more about themselves. The other option that you could also do, if you want a one-stop drop for all of your assignments, if you're not using Classroom and you're not familiar with that, you can also use this file upload feature. Even if you are using Classroom, I've heard that some teachers are feeling a little bit overwhelmed with the amount of asynchronous turn-ins from students, and I completely get that. So this could be one of those ways that you are able to sort by student, check down the line if they have, say, 3 things submitted or 4 things submitted. This is a really good turnaround and workaround for that. You can change the file size to be larger if you need to, because you might be asking for a video or whatnot, so keep that in mind. Okay. And then some of these other items, like checking different boxes, when that feeds into your spreadsheet, it's going to list them. So it won't easily sort them. So keep that in mind when you're making these for your students to get responses from them so you can be responsive to their needs. Okay, so that is kind of how I set up some of my forms. The other thing you need to keep in mind is, how do you actually give this out to students? So if I look at the preview, notice up here, this is key. This is saying view form. This means that you are viewing the form from the student perspective. Back at it. Kids needed me. Okay, so view form, huge. You don't want people asking for access to your form. It should only be a PLC member or someone as part of your data team that needs that access, not your students, not parents, okay? So this is the form that you're gonna grab. I always say, how do you want them to see it? Look at the eyeball. All right, so that's tip number 2. Number 3, so we were gonna go over here to responses. So we're gonna set up a response destination. You can choose to have one spreadsheet running all of your data, and then you just have tabs in the bottom, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Right here, I unlinked this from the original spreadsheet so I could show you in demo. So you don't have to create a new spreadsheet every time. That's bonkers. Let's select existing spreadsheet, hit select. I'm going to search for whatever spreadsheet it was. Okay, I'm going to choose website design survey. Come on, baby. Okay, there it's selected. All right, so now it's loading those original responses. If I click on that spreadsheet again, it would open, or it's going to take me out to this already open one. So as we're looking at data, what I did was I took off, and let's see here. Hide this part. Okay, so down here at the bottom, you can see I have form responses. So this is my original form and tons of responses. Tons and tons and tons. Okay. Pop this up here. So there we go. So as I'm looking at my data, I'm like, whoa, this is too much information. I'm going to click on this top box. I'm going to go up to data, and I'm going to say create a filter. What this just did was, now it's going to help me sort all of my data in different ways. So if I wanted to see it by this wonderful grade level, I can click. Control Z is your friend, folks. Click on the filter, clear out which ones I want to see, choose my freshman, and say, okay, all right, so here's my one freshman that took this survey. And I'm looking at that from that perspective and that lens. If I wanted to go and then see maybe my 10th grade, because I was working with those kids too, I could say, okay, now here's all of those 10th graders. Now I blocked out all of their names so I could keep confidentiality for my students, but you get the gist of it. So now I'm sorting through that data. Now, remember, you can add on another sort. So if you're like, ooh, I want to know how they feel about technology because I gave them those questions. I could even clear that out. I love technology. Okay. Now it narrows it down. I have 2 kids in this one particular class. They're probably going to be my helpers. So that's now how I can help my kids in my class be more responsive because I've found some really awesome leaders that can then help others. So consider the way that you ask questions in forms to be helpful and responsive to your kiddos. Okay, so now I was saying, now I can have another form go in here. So I have taken some of this data from the groups that I've met with. Okay, so now down at the bottom, now I have these different forms that have fed in. You can see right here that because I relinked that form responses, oops, sorry kiddos. Okay, so I now can have multiple responses coming in from multiple forms. If it helps you to manage, you can have every single kid that is on your caseload or that you work with populate into those forms and use filters. I would strongly suggest using an ISC to get started on this process, or your instructional tech or your LRC director. So then that way you can really wrap your head around it. It's nice to talk this through with another educator and another lens to see how you can best manage. But I think these are the tips that I would say help me be responsive to the students' needs. And this is with me not knowing them, but you have the advantage. You know your kids, and you know that if you see something alarming or something that is out of the ordinary, boom, you can go in and be responsive. So I hope that this has helped you to be more authentically responding to your students. Please feel free to reach out if you need some more assistance, but I think you guys have got this. Good luck.